Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. My last point has to do with the fintech space. It has to do with this fintech space. So you realize that a lot of Ghanaian enterprises or young Ghanaians have built capacity within the fintech industry. Yet when you look at support from donor enterprises like the World Bank, most of their support in these areas are for Ghanaians to buy software, or they buy softwares for Ghanaian companies, which limit the development of our fintech industries. Now, there's also a call from your NDC and during your manifesto that you are going to establish a $50 million fund to support the fintech industry. My question is, how are you going to protect the young Ghanaians who have built up their capacity in this fintech space? How are we going to make sure that they get the needed support and leverage to build their capacities and growth? And also, how is this fund going to be disbursed? Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, as subcommittee chairman for the NDC's Manifesto Drafting Committee on Digital Economy and ICT, we put in place that policy plank with the approval of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama to set up a 50 million fintech fund. The 50 million fintech fund, that 50 million is supposed to be a seed funding that we're going to use to attract funds from other multilateral and bilateral donor agencies. Our target is to build a $300 million fund. That's not going to be disbursed like confetti, but that's going to be used as seed funding to attract major funding from venture capitalists and angel investors. Another thing we're going to be doing to support the fintech industry in Ghana is the setting up of business advisory supports and regulatory sandboxes to ensure that our young startups survive. In fact, the statistics show that most startups die before their 5th anniversary, and that's because most of these startups are started by young innovators who don't have all it takes to run a business. It's one thing being an innovator, it's a completely different business running and managing a business enterprise. And so that's where this fund is going to come in to offer them the business advisory support, to give them what it takes to run a business profitably, whilst the innovative juices of young Ghanaians, the creative minds that God has blessed this country with, will continue to explode. But one last thing we're going to do for the fintechs is that we're going to redefine the entire regulatory framework. As we see today, the President has issued an executive instrument that redesignates the Ministry of Communications to the Ministry for Communications, Digital Technology and Innovation. Fintechs are digital technology. It's because of them. They are at the heart of President Mahama's government because he wants to have a truly financially inclusive government by the time he's leaving office in 2028. And so we're going to set up an independent subsidiary of the Bank of Ghana along the lines of the FCA in the UK. And along the lines of GIPS, 100% owned by the Bank of Ghana, but that's going to be agile in its regulatory framework and allow for innovation, things like agri-tech, edu-tech, insurance technology in the fintech space to take off. So this is the golden era for fintechs under the next 4 years of John Dramani Mahama. Mr. Chairman, I thank you.
Any further questions? Or you are done? You've asked your 3 questions. Then I will proceed to give the floor to Honorable Abu Jinapo. Honorable members, what we do is that we want to exhaust the subject matter committee members first under Order 2172. And subject matter committee members is 2 from each side. So if you want me to give the floor to another person.
What is your pleasure? You want to go the other side?
Where is the subject matter committee? Honorable Abednego, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. And congratulations, Senior. Your appointment does not surprise anybody because you have proven to be very, very, very astute in the communications industry. I wasn't here in the 7th Parliament, but I followed your exploits when you played a leading role in getting the cybersecurity law passed in 2020, Act 1038. There was a question on that, but let me pick your thoughts also on the same subject matter. There is two schools of thought. One believes that the Cybersecurity Authority should be under the remit of the national security. Others, they make the argument that it has to do with cross-border crime, talking about jurisdictional issues. Those who are in favor that it should remain with the Ministry of Communications make the argument that it is an IT-related, and therefore it should be with the Ministry of Communications. You have been with it from its inception. What is your thoughts on these two of thoughts?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. In my earlier response, I made reference to the National Security Strategy document of 2020 that recognizes cybersecurity as a key tool. I agree that there's the school of thought that thinks that cybersecurity should not sit, especially the Cybersecurity Authority, should not sit under the Ministry of Communications, but rather under the National Security Ministry. There is some merit to that, but I think that when you look at it holistically, you realize that that will not be the best architecture. When you look at best case situations across the world, like in India, like in Singapore and in Rwanda, you realize that you keep your Cybersecurity Authority under your Ministry for Communications or your ICT ministry, because cybersecurity plays 5 cardinal roles, or has 5 interfaces. There's the public interface, which deals with the citizens. Then there is the international interface, our engagements with multilateral and bilateral stakeholders. You've got the industry interface as well, where you talk about the cybersecurity professionals in the sector. You've got the policy formulation, which is largely what the ministry will lead. And then you've got the security and intelligence interface. So of 5 interfaces, 4 of them are civilian and 1 is security. If you move it under your National Security Ministry, it becomes difficult for you to have the full benefit of the 4 other interfaces, be it policy, be it industry, be it international or public interfaces. What we need to do is to have collaborations between the Ministry of Communications, Digital Technology and Innovation and our national security outfits to ensure that the synergies are built between both institutions. I thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair, thank you. I will not have further questions because Minister Designate, your competence and capabilities is unquestioned. Congratulations once again.
Any further questions? I then move to give the floor to Honorable Abu Jinapo.
I'm ready.
Honorable former Minister, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, let me congratulate Honorable Sam George for his appointment as the Minister for Communication, and I do so very warmly. Congratulations, Minister. Mr. Nominee, I believe you'll be following the unfolding matter of intense interest to the world, which is a matter I refer to the Chinese AI app company DeepSeek, which is caused a major upset in the American Silicon Valley industry, which is resulted even in tech company, AI company giants such as NVIDIA losing $600 billion United States dollars of stock. This area has become a major area, artificial intelligence, and how other countries are leveraging on them to bring about progress and development. If you are recommended by this committee to Parliament and the Parliament were to approve you and you become the Minister for Communications, what plans or what is your thinking on how Ghana itself can tap into or can plug into this artificial intelligence industry to bring about development in our country? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I mean, I saw a quote the other day that said AI in 2025 is like Bitcoin in 2013. Jump on the bandwagon now or you get left out. President Mahama has a clear vision on his AI policy. We're going to take the current AI strategy that was developed by the previous government, review it, make it fit for purpose by engaging industry and ensuring that Ghana becomes the hub for artificial intelligence on the African continent. We're going to do this by making sure that our innovation hubs, as promised in our manifesto, are executed, and then we will introduce AI on top of big data that we are taking. Ghana will become the center and the hub for artificial intelligence, machine learning, cybersecurity, data analytics, and data processing on the continent in the next 4 years. I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the question has been asked already, but I think it's a very important matter.
Honorable Minister, your second question.
Yeah, my second question.
Very well.
And I think it's a very important matter which I believe the nominee will want to shed some more light on. Cybersecurity is a major area in the security framework of the world. I mean, it's probably, arguably, one of the most important areas of security concerns across the world, cybersecurity. Now, you've spoken to it, but there is obviously the big debate out there as to where the effort to clamp down on cybersecurity should be properly situated. Some of the pundits hold a school of thought that it's a national security issue, and therefore it should be situated within the ambit or the confines of the national security architecture, with the Ministry of Communication being more or less the expert or specialist wing which supports the national security to clamp down on cybersecurity. Of course, you cited the example of India, but there are other examples like America, like England, like Europe, and several other places where the framework is fundamentally different from some of the examples you cited. In Ghana today, it is situated under the Ministry of Communications largely. What is your position? Not so much as to how the country's efforts at fighting cybersecurity, where it should be situated, but how can we build the proper synergy between the national security apparatus holistically in its totality and your ministry to ensure that we come to full grips on the issue of cybersecurity in Ghana?
Thank you. Once again, I'll just reiterate for the purposes of this committee and for the betterment of the people of Ghana. The NDC holds a view that cybersecurity is not just a national security issue, it's also a civilian issue. Cybersecurity has two sides, it's two sides of the same coin, protecting citizens from the state and from malicious actors. If you put cybersecurity solely under the ambit of national security, it assumes a fully militarized, weaponized tool. But cybersecurity, like I said, has the public, has the industry, has the international and policy outlooks that we need to keep as civilian. The architecture we have today allows for daily briefings by the Director General of the Cybersecurity Authority to the National Security Coordinator. So we are fully integrated. There's full briefings. The Joint Security Council has the Minister for Defense, the Minister for Interior, the Minister for Foreign Affairs, the Minister for National Security, and the Minister for Communications there. And I'll just make this clear. You've got the police, the Minister for Interior, overseeing the police, the Ghana Police Service. The Ghana Police Service does some work relative to cybersecurity. We've not moved the police from Ministry of Interior under National Security. You've got Defense Intelligence under the Ministry of Defense. We haven't moved them under National Security. You've got the Research Department under Foreign Affairs. You've not moved them under National Security. Cybersecurity has a home under Communications and it will remain there. Thank you.
You are entitled to 3 questions, so you can ask your final question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, in the run-up to the 2024 elections, the honorable nominee, on several occasions, and I have various articles to that effect, dates and occasions on which the honorable nominee made the point I'm about to put to him. And one of them I quote, which was uttered on the 5th of December at the NDC's final rally. And I quote, Mr. Chairman, the nominee said, vote for candidate Mahama to sign the anti-LGBTQ bill, end quote. Mr. Chairman, by way of background, we are all very familiar with the interest, this, and rightly so, the interest the anti-LGBTQ bill generated in our country, so much that it traveled all the way to the Supreme Court. And the honorable nominee was very categorical that if you voted for President Mahama, the bill will be signed. So my question to the nominee, following the firm promise and commitment he made to the Ghanaian people on behalf of his party, the National Democratic Congress, and his candidate, President Mahama, when will the bill be signed? When will the bill be signed?
Thank you very much. But Honorable Sam George, be brief. Be brief.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know that this question, because you were chairman of Constitutional, Legal, and Parliamentary Affairs, you know my passion about this. His Excellency President Mahama spoke immediately after his swearing in when he met with the Catholic Bishops' Conference. I wish to quote what he said, parts of what he said, with your permission. So the convention is that all bills that are not assented to before the expiration of the life of Parliament expires. And so that bill, effectively, is dead. It has expired. I don't know what the promoters of the bill intend to do, but I do think that we should have a conversation on it again. I repeat that again for emphasis. President Mahama said, I do think that we should have a conversation on it again, so that all of us, if we decide to move that bill forward, move it forward with a consensus. My position is that that bill is a critical part of our national life. Ghanaian family values, our children's innocence must be protected. In this 9th Parliament, that bill will be reintroduced, either as a private member's bill or as government's bill. I will work with government. If it's government's bill, if it's not and it's my bill, I will bring it back again, because my chiefs seated here, the chiefs from Ningo and Pram Pram, supported me in bringing that bill in the 8th Parliament. They've asked me to reintroduce it in the 9th Parliament. I will do so. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I have a couple of follow-up questions. I have a couple of. I didn't ask follow-up questions in the first two questions.
No, you are entitled to a follow-up question on a substantive question. So once you don't exercise the right to ask a follow-up question after asking the first question, the second question, you can have
so I can't
3 follow-ups. You are now entitled to 1 follow-up question on the LGBTQ.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Chairman, the nominee is also on record to have said, and I quote, the Chief Justice is helping Akufo-Addo to support LGBTQ, end quote. I want to repeat. The nominee is on record to have said, the Chief Justice is helping Akufo-Addo to support LGBTQ. Mr. Chairman, we are all very much aware of how strong a Christian the Chief Justice is. And indeed, the nominee came to this conclusion because in his view, the Chief Justice was not expediting action on the anti-LGBTQ case in the Supreme Court. Eventually, Mr. Chairman, the matter was determined, and indeed, the Supreme Court determined the matter in favor of the plaintiffs, that the bill be transmitted to the President for his assent. And therefore, my follow-up question is, will the nominee in the light of what has happened, and will the nominee, given that the basis for his conclusion is obviously been proven wrong, will he apologize to the Chief Justice here? And further so, will he agree with me that at the time he promised that President Mahama would sign the anti-LGBTQ if voted into office, the nominee, as a very intelligent, experienced legislator, knew very well that on the dissolution of the 8th Parliament, that bill will no longer stand, and that bill will also pass with the dissolution of the 8th Parliament, and there would therefore not be any bill for President Mahama to assent to. Will he agree that there was some element of dishonesty in making that commitment to the Ghanaian people? Will he apologize to the Chief Justice, and will he agree that he knew very well that the bill will not be available for President Mahama to sign onto if voted into office?
Thank you very much, but there is a bit of correction of the question that I will have to clarify, honorable members. The action was taken by the plaintiff, and if the plaintiff's action is dismissed, the decision of the court cannot be in favor of the plaintiff. So the plaintiff's action clearly was dismissed. The plaintiff action was to the effect that the bill must not be transmitted, and the court's decision is that the bill must be transmitted. So, but you said in your question that the decision of the Supreme Court was in favor of the plaintiff. Very well. Having considered, may you go ahead to answer the question.
Thank you very much, Chairman, for that clarity, because I was going to make that clarity. Mr. Chairman, let me state that I'm an elder of a church. And as an elder of the church, my integrity and honesty are key principles that I hold dear. My opinions about the actions and inactions of the Chief Justice remain. They are unchanged, and they have been vindicated by the actions of the Chief Justice post my demonstration against her. She could have taken action earlier. She held her own horses. My opinion of the Chief Justice remains my opinion today. It doesn't change.
Thank you very much. I then proceed to the Akam Variba.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity. Actually, I don't have a question to ask my able deputy ranking. I only want to congratulate you. Your appointment is no surprise to me, because I know that you can even do much better than the position they have given you. I have been with you in the committee from day one. We all went together to APNIC, African Parliamentarian Network on Internet Governance. I'm a member of that particular organization. It is because of the nominee that I can proudly say that I'm the treasurer of West African Parliamentarian Network on Internet Governance. I know somebody will ask, he's your junior brother, but how come? He has the experience. No, experience is not about age. Experience is not about...
Honorable Lydia, if you don't have questions, let's make progress. Let's make progress.
I want to use the opportunity to thank the President very much for appointing you, and I wish you the best of luck in that committee and in that ministry. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I then recognize Honorable Hajia Ladi Ayamba.
Thank you, Chairman, for the opportunity. Congratulations. As for this, congratulations, it's worth it more than 1,000,000 times. But we have to just do it for the fact that we are supposed to do it. You have worked, you deserve it, and you are there. What we can think about is that the Almighty Allah bless you so that you'll be able to work and work harder. The LGBTQ plus, plus, plus with all the pluses under the sun, which you spoke, worked, and did everything about. My concern is about issues of what was being put inside our books, that is in the schools, for pupils to learn. And I'm using pupils because this is as far as the basic schools. Will you consider using your expertise as a communicator to continue to advocate and to work hand in hand with the Minister for Education to ensure that our books are properly looked into, so that we don't buy the minds of our children when they are so innocent? Will you consider that? After answering that question, I say thanks to the Almighty Allah for putting you in that position, and may He guide and protect you. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Nominee. Again, just be brief.
Thank you very much, Chairman. I would put everything in my bin to protect the innocence of Ghanaian children. And we would instruct our Cybersecurity Authority and our Child Online Protection Program to collaborate with the Ministry of Education to ensure that our children are protected from anti-Ghanaian values in any e-learning book or model that will be introduced into our country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I recognize Charles Oredu.